Walking on water is one of the most popular of all the signs and miracles. Might be the most revered passage in the entire Bible. And though it's a short section, if you know how to read it using John's symbolic language, then it becomes the most important life lesson you'll ever learn. Okay, so let's go line by line. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea. So first I want to point out that John doesn't use afterwards or after a while. This is happening basically congruently with the fourth sign. So you just learned how to use gratitude in your life, and now you have to go back into your life, into the sea, into uncertainty and chaos of everyday life, and realize you're not in the higher consciousness now. You're not up on the mountain. You come down to the sea, down to regular life. If day symbolizes revelation or recognition of truth, then evening or night would be misunderstanding, uncertainty, when your vision is not as clear. And sea is water, which consistently means your emotional state or your inner being, the chaos of uncertainty. So they got in a boat and started across the sea to Capernaum. A boat is a vessel that carries you through the sea of uncertainty. Now, if you remember from the first sign, Capernaum is the place where Jesus raised his ministry, right? So this is really the place where we're going to start using this Christ consciousness in our everyday life. It was dark now and Jesus had not yet come to them. So they've left higher consciousness and come down back into the darkness of ordinary life. But Jesus had not yet come to them is important because we're trying to get to a place where we use Christ consciousness in our everyday life. But life is going to give us darkness that we have to walk through first before we're able to use this new knowledge. And not yet is very important because that means that the darkness is not permanent. The absence of mind is only temporary once you know how to use this Christ consciousness way of thinking. So this is saying, don't wait until you feel reassurance, move first and then it will come. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. Notice, it became rough. It didn't start rough. This is our everyday life that we're used to. But now we see where it's coming from, and we start to change our experience to the situation. And the sea, or our inner feelings, become agitated because we're no longer on the mountain of higher consciousness. We're back down where fear is active. And we've changed our relationship to it now since we made a decision to make a change in how we view it. Wind in the Bible symbolizes unseen force, like your thoughts, your feelings. These are things that we cannot see, but they are having an effect on us. And it's blowing all around us. In life, we think that we're doing everything perfect, but circumstances still arise anyways. This is your boss is being mean, or your kids are acting out, or your dog poops on the rug. You have to go pay your bills, but you run out of money. Our inner feelings being affected by unseen forces is describing how it feels to walk through transformation. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea. When they had rowed, this is us struggling, participating. We're not drifting. We're putting in effort, being disciplined. And 2 to 3 miles in the original text was like 25 to 30 stadia. So I'm not going to focus too much on the numerology here, but suffice it to say they've gone far. They've gone a long way. They can't see either shore. They're too far to go back, but they have not yet come to their destination. And they saw Jesus walking on the water. They saw Jesus. This is pointing towards perception because John could have put that he appeared in the boat or he started to calm the waters. But everything is still going on around us, but our awareness changes. We're able to focus on this Christ consciousness part of our being. And what is he doing? He's walking on the sea. The sea is our emotions, our chaos. This is symbolizing us relating to fear-producing circumstances in a way that will not lose our footing. And coming near the boat, the vessel that we're using to traverse this landscape, our practices, our beliefs, our way of navigating life. And they were frightened. Often we think that we're afraid of suffering, but we're used to suffering. We have all of these patterns that we've put in our lives to keep suffering at bay. Actually, we're afraid of change, afraid of the possibility of using different tactics to move through life. Afraid of surrendering control because these patterns have been keeping us safe, but now we're trying a new way of living. We move through life's uncertainties and become overwhelmed. Then we remember Christ consciousness, and the thought of using it instead of our old patterns becomes frightening. Now, this is the most important line of the story, but he said, "It is I, do not be afraid." Many times in the Bible, fear comes before revelation, before reassurance. Moses, Isaiah, Ezekiel. Do not be afraid. This is not just comfort. This is the whole lesson. This is instruction. Why? Because nothing around them has changed. We don't walk back into our lives and change every circumstance of our life. No, the only thing that can change is our relationship to the circumstances. The lesson is do not let fear be the governing factor of your life. This is the point of the passage. It's telling us stop seeing life through the lens of fear. And what happens right after that? They were glad to let him in the boat. And immediately they were at the land to which they were going. Immediately they were at the place where they can start using this in their everyday life. Once you realize that you can either interpret your life through fear or through love, it becomes easy to see through everything. Notice they didn't have to keep traveling. The storm didn't just disappear, but they started to see it for what it was. Fear in any situation, any turbulent situation of your life. Once the higher way of seeing is welcomed, the journey that seemed impossible just resolves itself. Once you understand that you could either interpret your life through fear or through love, everything in your life becomes easy to break down. Every fear that you have in your life, whether you're really angry or you have anxiety or you worry too much, it could all be broken down into a fear. And once you see that it is just fear, you can find a way to move towards love. So this isn't a story about visually seeing a man walk on water. It's a reminder that when you're overcome by the chaos and uncertainty of your life and your inner sea of emotions feels turbulent, just realize that those are caused by fear. Choose love and a love forward response, and you too can walk on the chaos of your life. Okay, leave any questions that you have in the comments. Go and watch the full breakdowns of the first 4 signs on my page. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, and I love you.